The burning of fossil fuels has for years led the industry in the powering of our luxuries. These fuel sources are not only using non renewable resources, but worse than that, all the harmful waste from the average fossil fuel power plant is released into the environment. But imagine a power source that doesn't harm the environment in any way. The waste is all safely contained. Over the last several decades, there have been many scientific advances in the study of nuclear power, and it is a very compelling option for an alternative power source that can feasibly work in all environments, no matter what the weather may be. Like, imagine a field of windmills, but no wind is blowing. My point is that this type of renewable energy works great when the weather permits it. Both solar and wind energy work better as supplemental energy sources. In my opinion, nuclear power could replace all fossil fuel energy and could potentially work better in the long run. There are only a couple of methods that I am aware of in order to harness this power. Both are good options for commercial power. One is fission and the other is fusion. Fission is a process where several atoms are smashed into each other repeatedly in order to generate heat energy. The other method is nuclear fusion. Now, nuclear fusion is exactly what it sounds like. Two atomic nuclei are fused together in order to form a single atom with a heavier nucleus. Basically, as a result, the new nucleus is equal to less than half the mass of the original atoms, so that all leftover mass will become energy. The resulting reaction would be able to create a nearly inexhaustible fuel source. Very recently, I've been led to believe that it is the most efficient type of reactor. The typical fission power plant is used to control an otherwise dangerous reaction inside a fully contained reactor core. This creates an extreme amount of heat. Pressurized water is then pumped over the reactor core, which of course creates steam. That steam then goes through a turbine, and that is how a fission reactor would work. The only thing produced into the air is steam from water vapor, and in most cases, unused steam is condensed back into water, and the cycle is repeated over and over again to create power. It's a really interesting concept. The water is pumped over the core. It has to be pressurized so that it doesn't boil out. Keep in mind, all power plants on Earth result in some sort of waste, but nuclear waste is always contained. Well, I mean, it has to be, obviously. Even still, none of the waste is pumped into our oceans, rivers, or streams, unlike other fossil-fueled power sources. Now, fusion power plants are kind of in their infancy. Well, kinda, sorta. When I was younger, I was put under the impression that fusion is simply too volatile a reaction for us to control. Yet, with today's technology, you can, in fact, control a reaction of this magnitude. It just works a little bit differently because they strike the center of an isotope, which causes it to become unstable and to split. Like I stated earlier, the atoms are fused together in order to form a new atom, which is equal to half the mass of the original nucleus, or something like that. All leftover energy from the reaction is where your actual energy is produced. In simple terms, fusion is not just steam power like fission. I personally enjoy learning about how things like nuclear power work, and I am very interested in the fusion power plants, which are being built in several countries now. When the atoms split, it produces a large amount of energy that can be collected every time the reaction takes place. This was a fairly recent breakthrough that was announced in December of 2022. But now that I have described the types of reactions, you might be asking yourself, what about this much more dangerous nuclear waste? If it is for whatever reason to get exposed to the world, we are in serious risk of exposure to radiation or death, and I'm not really sure which is worse. Honestly, though, fear not. Contrary to popular belief, nuclear waste is a solid, and we can count ourselves lucky that all atomic waste is contained in some of the world's strongest containers. These containers that hold the waste can withstand natural disasters or even missile strikes. So if, for whatever reason, a missile or other explosive were to hit nuclear waste containers, we would not be at risk of exposure to radiation from the barrels of waste. In closing, nuclear power is a viable fuel source that is both safe and efficient. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you for being here, and please like and subscribe and stuff. I really need the support. I'll see you next time. Bye.